I'm Ginny Robertson, founder of the On Purpose Woman Global Community and the founder and publisher of On Purpose Woman magazine. I'm here with Dr. Ahriana Platten, I'm going to mess your name up this morning, to talk about her article in the September-October issue of On Purpose Woman magazine. So good morning, and thank you for being with me this morning.
Good morning, Jenny. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you here, and I love the article that you shared in the magazine, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But before we do, would you tell our viewers a little bit about you?
Yeah, I'm the founder of A Soulful World, which is a global community. We reach about 50 countries around the world, and we provide spiritual training and service and mentorship for people who are in the holistic health field, who are metaphysical healers, who are seekers looking for a way to bring more ceremony. Most of our training is ceremony oriented. So we train ceremonialists, and we also help those who already have their businesses to find a way to bring a little bit more of the sacred into what they do.
Oh, wonderful. Well, this article that you wrote, actually, let's see, it's called Get Out of the Gutter, Keeping Our Vibration High in Today's Political Climate. And it's a blog post that you sent in your email list to your email list. And I'm on your email list. And when I read it, it was like, oh, it so resonated with me because, I can get stuck in that place of going down the rabbit hole of, oh, I read that, then I'm going to read this. And then I just get mad and I can't believe, I'll just get in my head. And next thing I know, my vibe is really low. And I don't think I'm serving anyone at that low vibe level. So I was really curious, when I saw the title, what are your answers for this? And I liked it so much that I got in touch with you and said, can we share it in the magazine? And thank you for saying yes for that.
You're very welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes. So get out of the gutter, keeping our vibration high in today's political climate. What inspired you to write this blog?
My family, actually. I have a son I have two sons who will probably vote in one direction and two sons who will probably vote in another direction. And all of them are very passionate and very committed to their own reasons for voting in the direction that they've decided to vote. And our family has always been a family open to conversation. So sometimes our conversations get very heated. And I'm very open to heated, productive conversations. We can talk about, tell me why you feel the way you do. Share with me what you're reading, because we all know that depending upon your news source, what you're reading is different from one side of the aisle to the other side of the aisle.
Right, right.
So we work as a family to inform each other, but what I saw was that we just kept going down instead of up. This conversation was not working for us. And as I started to look at my community, as here in the United States, most especially, although even across international borders, everybody cares about this election.
Yeah.
So as I started watching people and hearing and seeing the crap that people post on their Facebook pages and their Instagram and across social media and even through their own blogs, I realized that there is a need for us to pause for a minute and decide who we're going to be right now. Who do we want to be? Because our parents taught us to be people of character, to be people of a certain standard. And those who were not lucky enough to have parents who taught them that, most of them come to that on their own. We come to a picture of who we want to be in the world and what we want the world to look like. And it's possible to have an opinion without giving up your character.
Cool. Can I quote you on that? That's great.
Yes.
It's possible to have an opinion without giving up your character. So true. Well, you begin your article by sharing a childhood memory that beautifully illustrates your main point, which is get out of the gutter. Would you please tell us that story?
Absolutely. My little brother, Paul, I grew up in a family with three younger brothers, and my little brother, Paul, had this thing he did that I thought when I was a child was disgusting, but it was just fun. It's a fun memory for me. And he would lay on the boulevard, on the grassy boulevard when it would rain. And after the rain, you know how the water runs down the boulevard. we grew up in Montana, and the worms come out and they start playing in the water. And one of Paul's favorite things to do when he was probably, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, something like that. He was little, was to lay on the boulevard and put his fingers down in the water and play with the worms, which just is yucky to me and was very yucky to me when I was young. And when I was thinking about this, what I wanted to write, that story came to mind because we can be very fascinated with what's going on in the gutter,
Mm.
not see anything. You can't see the cars that are going to drive by and splash you. You can't see the sunshine over your head. You can't see the rest of life when you're looking down in the gutter. And as fascinating as it is, it's not only costing you beauty, but it's dangerous.
Mm.
You're not paying attention to where you are and what could be coming close to you.
Yeah.
What
There could
kind
be
of
something in that water with those worms that you don't even know is there, right?
Well, right. And as it was grease and oil and all of that stuff that comes running down the street. And
Mhm.
there is so much right now about truth and what is true and who has truth and who has the ability to speak truth, who's willing to risk being truthful about where they are. There's all of that. And there's also uh, a need for us to look at the beauty of life that's happening around us. Our vibration syncs as we believe from, and we're getting this message from both sides that if X happens, the world is coming to an end.
Mm.
And there are much fewer of them than there are of us. We have the ability to see the beauty of life, to bring our vibration up, to recognize that there is something much greater than politics going on and that it's eternal. And so stepping back into the higher self, the high self, the holy self, and remembering that this is a circumstance in life and not something that we have to get down and play in if we don't want to is really important, I think.
Thank you for that. I do watch some news shows sometimes, and the thing I most love about some of the news shows are when they have historians on who are looking at things from a historical perspective. And I remember maybe about 6 months ago, I think it was oh, John Meacham, I believe, who was on, if you're familiar with him. And he was talking about how we have been in much worse places than this in history and gave kind of a historical perspective for where we are and where we might have been in the past. And it is interesting to see that because it does feel like the sky is falling sometimes, you know.
Well, right, right. And I hope that we have come to a point that we recognize we're a global people,
Mhm.
not just a country, but we're a global people. And there are so many people on our planet right now that are in war zones, that are simply struggling for life. There are people in our country who don't know where their meal is coming from. Their one meal they might have, they don't know where it's coming from tomorrow. They don't know how they're going to keep a roof over their children's heads. There are so many people across the planet who have so much more going on than what is happening in this election. And we have the ability to be active in changing the world.
Mhm.
If we rely on our government to make all our decisions for us and fix everything for us, we are in a world of hurt. And unfortunately, apathy is rampant. We don't believe we can make a difference. But I spent Friday of this week in Chicago stuffing backpacks for kids with a little boy who is 10 years old. His name is Chase Breen, who asked his parents, who were producing this conference, to please do something. And he had been in Chicago for a ball game and he saw kids on the street and people begging for money and families who did not have what they needed. And so he wanted to help. And I think we should be led. We've heard this through all of our holy teachings, be led by the children,
Yes.
right? The child heart, even in yourself, will remind you that you can make a difference. And when you get out there and make a difference, you realize politicians are a very small piece of what it takes to make our world a better place.
Yes. And it's the only way for me to get outside of myself sometimes is to go put my attention elsewhere.
That's right.
Because you're right. I feel like I have such a privileged life and
And
my needs are always met. You know, I don't live an extravagant life. I don't want to live an extravagant life, really, not in that sense, but all my needs are met every day.
all right. And I would say, Jenny, and I would say this of my own life as well, having traveled the world, and I've been very blessed in that regard, we do live an extravagant life.
Yes, yes.
In comparison to people who live in one room, who have three families living in a house smaller than this, who can't take their entire family in one car to go someplace because their one car is a moped.
Mm,
We all across the world, life looks very different. And in America, because such a small percentage of us leave the country, we are in many ways blind to how really blessed our lives are.
mhm. Oh, thank you for that. So you give us three specific ways that we can keep our vibration high. And the first one is keeping the high road. How might we go about doing that?
I think keeping the high road means remember who you are. Remember who you are. Remember who you want to be. Remember that inside of you is a holy presence that is as close as your own breath. We are breathed by the holy. Literally, our breath is the breath of the holy that inspires our first breath and moves us out of this body at our last breath.
Mm,
And when we remember that, oh, we don't even have to think about how we're going to express it. You know, we say, live like this prophet or live like that prophet. It doesn't matter what religion you are. It doesn't matter who your prophet is. It matters that you remember that you inside are an eternal being, and this is a blip in time.
mm.
So coming to our soul self and living from that and trusting, really trusting that there's something greater is a really important aspect of living from the high self.
Listening to that still small voice inside, or sometimes very loud voice
Yeah.
that's shouting a bit and saying, pay attention, pay attention.
Mhm.
Well, your second suggestion for keeping our vibe high is research facts, not fears. Can you say more about that?
Yeah. So what do? If we hear something that we is startling for us, or even um, we just know that can't be true, right? So we go out and look up more of that. We go out and look for more news stories. And what we have to understand is that the way the media works online is that one story is used to perpetuate another story, another story, another story across various networks. So when we see this and it's printed as true here, printed as true here, printed as true here, printed as true here, the more times we see it across the media, the more likely we are to actually come to believe that it's fact.
Mm,
But there are really good fact finder sites online. Go find a real neutral fact finding site and ask the question, is this true? And what are the circumstances?
mhm,
You'll get some more information about what's going on and whether this is something you need to be concerned about or not. Because telling yourself the same story, we did it when we were little kids. We told the same scary story around the campfire every time our brothers and sisters and family went out camping because it always scared us.
mhm.
After a while, you're scared of the old man of bones who's going to come out of the woods because you've heard the story so much, so often that you believe there's some possibility that that's real. And that's what happens with our news stories. We start to believe there's some possibility that it's real, even if it's coming from the opposite side, which then affects how we interact with one another. And that's the great loss, isn't it?
Yeah.
We come to distrust the people around us in our lives and to look at each other differently.
Oh, that's so true. And I just had a thought that I wanted to bring up. Let's see, where did I go with that? I think where I was going with that, what was coming through for me was that I know I can get caught up in a bit of self-righteousness, so maybe a lot of self-righteousness sometimes. If I really, and this can happen after I've researched and I really believe something is true, but I can just get so like why can't they see that? Why can't, you know, and I don't tip, I'm not the person who goes out there and has fights on Facebook. That is not, I don't think that's what who I'm here to be. I'm not here to change anybody's mind. I'm here to do me. And I think we can do that. I think we can shift minds sometimes by being examples of something rather than, you know, I remember learning years ago that shame has never changed anybody's mind.
Yeah, that's
You know,
correct.
and so this whole idea of, you know, we can be kind of like, well, of course I'm right. Can't they see that? But, you know, if we're always looking at the things that we agree with, also that can be another thing that can happen is I can go looking for other things to support my viewpoint rather than to make sure that I have the correct information for my viewpoint. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it makes
Yeah.
perfect sense.
Yeah.
And you know, that one of the most difficult things we're dealing with in families is what brought me to write this article, which is the struggle between family members who feel differently and feel like they must impose their opinion on each other,
Mhm.
rather than being grateful that we have people with differing opinions and can converse and compare, and are probably all better educated voters because we have these conversations.
Yeah.
A matter of learning how to have them and remembering what civil discourse is in your own family can be one of the greatest challenges, because that's where you feel the most, hopefully, where you feel the most free to express how you truly feel.
Right.
So remembering with the people that we love, there was a time in this country that we didn't talk politics and we didn't talk religion because it jeopardized friendships and relationships. And if in our own families we are unable to find civil discourse, then it is a real option to say, we are not going to talk about politics. I respect your opinion. I ask that you respect mine. There is so much more love in our life and so much more to talk about than that. And it's not worth it. It's not worth losing a family member, being uncomfortable around your holiday season, hurting one another. It's just not worth it.
Yeah. Beautifully said. Thank you. Your third suggestion is do what makes the world better. How you suggest that that will also support us in keeping our vibe high. What does that look like?
That looks like getting out, like I was saying, this young 10-year-old boy who was inspired just from seeing people to try and do something to help, found an organization, worked with his parents, got everything they needed. And, you know, this networking organization that I belong to is a group of people who are visionaries, who
Mm.
are changing the world. And still, all of us can get caught up in the day-to-day stuff that we do. Something so simple as walking around a table, picking up all the supplies that go in a backpack, putting them inside, and writing a little note to whoever might get that. You're a rock star.
Wow.
This is going to be a great year, whatever it was. Everybody, there were about 15 or 20 of us who were writing, and we filled a couple hundred backpacks.
Wow.
The energy in that room was so high because we were thinking about who would receive this and putting it together with intention and love.
Love.
Go serve somewhere. Go do something to remind yourself you can make a difference. Go volunteer at a food bank. Pack food, pack clothes. The organization we were with is in Chicago and Philadelphia, and someplace else it's called Cradles to Crayons. And they have warehouses that have coats and clothing and supplies for families that need to be packed up and packaged so that they can be easily distributed. There are many, many ways to go out and do something good. Shovel the sidewalk for your neighbor. The leaves are going to be falling soon. Pile everything up and let your grandkids jump in the leaves. Do something that brings joy to someone, that brings a sense that someone cares. We need to know in our world that we care about each other. And if we're worried about the world coming apart, and each of us do a little something, everything comes together in a beautiful way.
Yeah. Because we are so much bigger than that, whatever that
Well,
is. Yeah.
right. And
And we're
because
powerful.
apathy, the sense that I am unable, the apathetic way of living that says, I don't have, I can't make a difference and I don't have the time to go out and do that.
Mhm.
That is the underpinning of what we see happening in our country today. When we believe that we can't do anything and we rely on our government to handle the real life situations, we have given up our own power.
Mm.
And our power to make one life better, the real gift is when we are able to do something that we know makes one life better, we are suddenly re-energized, re-empowered, re-aware of the power of love and the power of kindness and the power of connection.
I was just thinking that as you were saying it, that as I know for me personally, as I give like that, I receive so much more than what I even think I'm giving. So it's perpetual. And I've had experiences. I've been volunteering with one organization in Baltimore for over 21 years. It's a recovery system for women recovering from drug and alcohol addiction. And when I see what how they come to grow and learn and be and heal. And then often I will get to witness what they then go and do with their life to help other people, because so many of these women, the first thing they want to do once they get to that space is they want to give back
That's
because they're so grateful for what they've received. And we've all received something, whether we've been, you don't have to have been down and out in your life to have received beautiful gifts from people.
That's right. And the vibration of gratitude
Mm,
is so high, changes everything. It changes everything. And when we feel that empowerment, we feel gratitude, we appreciate the abundance of our lives, the privilege that we have, the many things that we're able to do, the petty nonsense that's going on in our political world becomes so clear and so visible. And it becomes so much easier to disengage. But if we feel disempowered and that the world is out of our control and there's nothing we can do, it's very easy to engage in any story that presents itself as saving us from catastrophe.
wow.
So if we want to disengage from that, we have to do something different with our life and our energy and make the world a little bit better. We can all make it a little better every day. And you only have to do that for just do something for one person. Do something nice. If you don't feel like you can go out to the food bank, send flowers to a friend who's sick.
Mm.
But do something every day. Send a note, send a postcard, send an email. But if you commit yourself to doing something that makes the world better every day, you will be amazed at the change you experience in yourself.
Mm. That was a spine-chilling moment. Thank you. Just right up and down the back, because it's something that I aspire to, but I often lose track of. And it's just such a simple thing to just reach out and touch someone, whether it's through an email or a text or a phone call or in person, just because they don't have to be in need of something to feel better because somebody reached out. I know when I've gotten a lot of real mail lately, like cards, things that have been handwritten. And when I see that in my mailbox, I get so excited. Wonder why they're sending me this?
Yeah.
And so, and I want to hold on to this to remember to do that for someone else because I know they'll feel the same.
Absolutely. And this is the thing. If it, we're so accustomed to social media becoming now our bite-sized nugget of communication with
Mm,
the world. What does your bite-sized nugget of communication say about you? What will you post today?
yeah.
What if 200 people or 500 people or 5,000 people are going to come across what you said, what you posted, the picture you shared, what does it offer into the world?
Mm,
Are you just perpetuating a story because you've seen it 3 times and it must be true? Or because you think it's funny?
mm,
Are you perpetuating a story, or are you bringing beauty, bringing kindness, bringing compassion, bringing love, bringing forgiveness, bringing connection? What do you want in the world? If this is the world you want to see, one that is loving and kind and forgiving and compassionate, then be that world. Create that as your world. Put that message out in the world, and you will start to bring forward into your own life those same gifts.
Oh, so true. Thank you. I want to get back just a minute to when you talked about disengaging. I want to clarify, you're not talking about disengaging from, and that could also sound like apathy for some people,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
stop caring. But I think in your article, you talked about when you actually care deeply enough to take a stand on something, do it from that place that you're talking about. Right.
Absolutely, because your stand, whatever it is that that is your underlying reason for voting the way you would choose to vote, for wanting a certain person to represent you in whatever office it might be, whatever that reason is, you can be a voice for that reason in a reasonable way.
Mhm.
You can speak to your own personal story. This is important to me because, I have particular feelings about my grandchildren, my granddaughters in particular, having the right to their own body. I can be a voice for that
Mhm.
and speak to that without insulting someone who feels differently.
Exactly.
And when I choose to speak and when you choose to speak, we can do so from a place of reason, from critical thinking, from evaluation, from our own personal experience.
Mhm.
But to do it in an attacking way, to try and use power as a weapon, and information is power, to try and use that power as a weapon rather than a force for good in the world is not helping us to create a world that is interconnected, interreliant, collaborative, and healthy.
It sounds like a great place to wrap up, at least our conversation about that. I do want to say to anybody watching, if you're watching this live or the replay, Ariana shares more in her article. You can read the complete article, and you can find that at opwgc.com/magazine. That is in the text of this video. So tell us how we can find out more about you.
Go to asoulfulworld.com, and that's soulful, Full, asoulfulworld.com, and you will find all the things I do. But my recommendation to you is that you scroll down the page to the freebies at the bottom of the page, and that you register for 30 days of reflections and sacred ceremonies. It's a little short email piece that you'll receive that gives you an invitation to make every day a little bit more sacred and special.
It's really lovely. And I'm going to put that in the text of this video once we're done. So if you're watching it right now, come back and check it out. And so anything coming up you want to tell us about?
I'm on my way to Mexico to do a retreat, and then I'm taking 6 months to travel the world. So go join my Facebook page or my Instagram so that I can share with you the beauty that I see as I travel for the next 6 months.
Ah, yes, we have to definitely. I know you're going to be doing a lot of writing while you're away, probably.
Yes.
So maybe we'll have you. Maybe there could be an article in there every issue about whatever,
I
whatever.
love that.
I would love that too. So, I'm going to leave us with a final thought about all of this.
Yeah. Life is so much more than what happens in the gutter. Please stand up. Please feel the sunshine. Please realize that there is a beautiful world of loving people and that we all want the same things in life. We want to have enough so that we can live comfortably and at ease. We want to be loved and to love well. And we want to have our children be safe. We want the same things. We go about it sometimes in different ways. Don't let your neighbors become your enemies, and certainly don't let your family fall apart over one election season.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, but really more than that, your heart, your 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 calming presence, your beauty. I mean, it's just you're just a package. You're just a full package.
Thank you.
And I appreciate that you share all of this with our viewers and also with our readers. So yeah, I'm very grateful for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you all out there for watching the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show. For more information on the On Purpose Woman Global Community and Magazine, please click on the links in this video. And for more interviews with amazing women living their lives on purpose, check out our YouTube channel. The link is also in the text of this video. And I'll see you the next time. Thank you.